Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Shilpa Data Insights.
So I trusted that part. I also did my R&D. So no, it doesn't happen like that. Like earlier, my CV looked like a task list. It had technologies everywhere. But be a process oriented. Don't be a result oriented. Otherwise, if you think about result every time, you'll get pressurized. You'll get burdened sometime. And then Python intermediate basis is fine. PySpark again, it should be advanced. You should know the architecture. So I categorize those, answer this question why I want to, because once you know the purpose, you know the reason, there is no excuse in between. And interviewers mainly want to understand two things very quickly, and this actually I learned by the process. What problems you solved.
Hi Ritu, thanks for joining for this particular podcast. I'm really happy on a Sunday weekend you have given me some time to record this session. I am really glad for that. So before we deep dive into the complete podcast, I would like you to introduce to our audience so that they are aware about कि आप क्या करते हो, कैसे आपने journey start किया and everything.
Sure, Shilpa. Thank you so much for having me here. And first of all, I would like to start my journey like very regular. I've started pursuing engineering from electronics and communication branch and passed out in 2020, and I got placed in TCS. So currently I'm working in EPAM as a senior software engineer, where I have majorly role in a data engineer part. And now coming to the journey, how I have reached here. So the first point I would like to mention is at the starting, just like everyone, I was not aware. So from where to start, from what is my interest, what's the scope of that particular profile. So in the thesis, I thought like when I joined thesis, I thought that I have plenty of time and maybe I could figure out something while working. So like everyone else, I spent like few years in thesis. Like at least for me, I spent like 1 year in one project, and I got to know, okay, there are some technical things, that there are some sequels happening in some warehouses. So a bit of it, like approx, I will say in the project itself, I spent 6 months to spend as a data engineer. But at that time, I was not aware about this role at all. Like I was completely clueless. I thought it's just a junior developer role, and I was into it. So from there, I started learning how is this role important, the value in the market, and then I started my journey from there. So I would like to continue on more discussion about from that point of the thesis was the first journey where I started actually worked as a junior developer and how it became here as a senior software engineer EPAM. And following that, I worked with the previous organization in Ericsson and as well as Coforge. And yeah, the experience on both the organization was pretty simple, and I would say most more challenging in the project side, because you learn it's not something that you have started theoretically something as a data engineer, and when you actually got some work, it's something you got the real experience. So मैं actually share करूँगी journey along with the question that we'll have, so that it can relate to that audience की कहाँ से शुरू किया, क्या gap था.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Actually, it's a very, I'd say, good journey and long journey. Great companies, right? You have worked with. तो आप TCS में कैसे मतलब campus placement था या आपने off campus किया?
Yes, so basically, when I passed out, it was campus placement only. I got like 3 offers from some mass hiring companies, like again Infosys, TCS. So out of it, I've just chosen TCS so that I can have plenty of time, because at that time we thought कि ठीक है इतना काम नहीं होगा शायद, पर हम देख लेंगे वहाँ पे क्या होता है. At least we get some real experience कि टीम में कैसे काम करते हैं, इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सपीरियंस क्या होता है. So with that view, I just joined TCS, and also I got during the COVID time I got remote opportunity. So this was the best of the out of all the options. This was the best that started with TCS.
Because in remote, yeah, you stay at home and do. But again, when you are a fresher and you join a company, it's very hard to work in a remote environment, right? Because you
Right.
have to keep on pinging people, ask. But when you are in office, it's easy. Go to a senior and ask for, "अरे ये कैसे करना है बता दो," and they are will ready to help, right? So yeah, I think it would have been challenging a little bit when working with remote.
It's really obvious. Like when you're in office, you build interpersonal relationship with people. Sometimes the question that you cannot ask on Teams, on calls directly, but if you stay with that person, you can physically connect. ठीक है, कभी आप अपना experience भी बता देते हो बात करते करते. It sometimes happens while you are on Teams, while you work or remotely. It's very limited. So yeah, the most challenging part was connecting with the people at that time. And fortunately, like all people are working remotely, so it actually boosts up the connection at that time. In COVID time, there were a lot of, we needed to be online all the time, and we need to be available. So that made a little push on this part कि ठीक है availability थी, बट ये था कि रियल कनेक्शन आप ऑफिस में ही बनाओगे. बट मेरे लिए ऐसा नहीं हुआ क्योंकि टीसीएस तो 2020 में I joined in thesis, and there was complete everything was lockdown and all. तो challenging तो था. उसके बाद when they started calling out, like after a year they started calling out to come to office, and then I joined office for like 6 months. When I left thesis, there was only 6 months left, and then I got the experience of thesis working culture, like office culture. I interacted with people, and then I was able to relate everything कि ठीक है, अच्छा ऐसे होता है, वैसे होता है, ये बिहेव करना पड़ता है, ऐसे ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आए तो आपको प्रेशर में ऐसे बिहेव करना पड़ता है. So all of these things you got to know when you work in office culture physically. So ये था कि first year तो challenging था, but at least I was able to cope up कि ठीक है, एक बार जब office open होगा तो let's try it out, like practically as well. तो फिर जब मैं 6 मंथ में ज्वाइन करी ऑफिस, उसके बाद सब कुछ कनेक्ट हुआ, सारे पॉइंट्स यू स्टार्टेड कनेक्टिंग द डॉट्स कि अच्छा ये आंसर था और ये सीनियर से मैंने ऐसे बात किया था, इट वाज रियली नाइस, लाइक लेट्स इंटरेक्ट फर्दर एंड लेट्स नो फर्दर. सो ये प्रोसेस मैंने फॉलो किया था उस टाइम पे.
So, how much time you were there in TCS?
Okay, so I spent around 1.6 years. Yeah.
Okay.
1 year fully remote and then 6 months to office.
Okay. So in that 1.6 years, so how was your experience? Like people say a lot of things about TCS. So how was your experience with TCS about learning, the career growth, the culture, everything?
There actually most of the people is familiar with the kind of project that we are deployed to. It's a kind of very random at that time. Like back in, if I talk about back in 2020, there are RMs like resource manager who actually help you to deploy in a project. And in my time, fortunately, I got a project and as a developer role. Like most of the time, it happens in big MNCs that you, as a fresher, that you get deployed in a support role or in a support project. But fortunately, I got a developer role, junior developer role, and there was a project, client-based project. And there the culture was very pretty, straight. When you start working with client directly, there are people involved on site as well. So you get something, very good experience working with them, like closely working with them. You need to be involved in the discussion where actually technical discussion is happening. Even though you don't understand the jargons and all the business scenario, but still you'll be in the discussion. It feels like okay, at some point of time, you'll be able to relate it. So this thesis actually fostered this culture of, engaging employment to all the client discussions. So this is what like I really appreciate in that at my time. And there is a very good culture of learning as well. In TCS, there are like plenty of learning materials available. Like Ultimetrics, at that time there was Ultimetrics, and we had Udemy access, LinkedIn access, everything we already have it. Like this is not something we need to raise access. You could have, once you'll join that, you will have it automatically. Like this is at that point, but I don't know right now what is happening. Maybe cost cutting or something. But yeah, but that time it was very easily available. So I actually, leverage those particular facilities a lot. Like learning, so I completed mandatory trainings. Along with the mandatory trainings, whatever suits for me, like for example, software development, because that time I was clueless which role is very preferential to me. It's whenever you go to some role, it's your ability that you can excel to that particular role. but it's still you won't be interested to do it sometime, right? It's not just excelling into role. It's knowing how you want to work, like how long you want to work. So at that point, Udemy and LinkedIn Learnings, these are the materials which help me to explore different role, like what are the works that we need to do as a software developer in Java or in Python, or maybe in a cloud technologies. Cloud was also like booming at that time. So these are the things facility that provide TCS actually help me a lot to learn personally on myself as a personal personal development. I took those particular time very certainly to use this particular topic or to use this facility to connect with the senior. My goal was very clear from the starting. If even if I clueless about my scope and the role, but my goal should be to know it, whatever in wherever you are in the situation, just know it, just good enough to at least it will help you further to take decision. So yeah, thesis helped me a lot in that case.
So in TCS you worked, and then how did you realize that you had an interest in data engineering?
Okay, that's a good question. It was, if I talk honestly, it was came fortunately, on that 2020, I guess, if I remember it correctly, in June 2020, sorry, in December 2020, I got a conversation from a senior that see, this is a role which is very much important and it has this value. At that time, I was not able to relate it, but obviously, I was very I am a listener. Like whenever senior person talk, I listen a lot, even though I don't understand. But I keep observing like what are they saying and what are they want to convince me. So there used to a call like late night calls because I need to support sometime weekend basis. So there was a one senior I had a conversation, depth conversation about the role, what is the importance and why you are here in this project. Even we don't actually prefer junior developer in the project, this enterprise project like this. And that scenario, like we had a discussion, I got to know the importance. Okay, this is a data engineer role and there is a pipeline which is coming. So this actually fascinates me because a data engineer role is not restricted to only the pipeline. It's all about the data, the world. That senior actually, the conversation that happened helped me to understand that why data is important, first of all. World is data driven, so everything I started kind of, okay, this is the small part that I'm doing, but in the bigger picture he helped me to look into that bigger picture. And then I started exploring more through LinkedIn Learning and Udemy again. So that conversation that actually hit me, that why you are doing it, the value and the impact, what it could be. So once you have this conversation, once you have this insight, okay, whatever I'm doing, this much is the impact. And since the world is data driven, so you must be you have very much scope in the bigger picture to see. So I trusted that part. I also did my R&D, and through all of that, I thought, okay, let's be in this role and let's explore more.
Okay, so it was a great chance that you got a very good mentor, I would say. He or she
Right.
was a mentor to you to show you the path and you gain insights and interest on it. So when you came to know about data engineering, there's a lot of things to learn in data engineering, right? Starting with a lot. You have to name it now. Now what you learned, right? And how did you strategize that learning? Because there's so much of things to learn.
Correct. I would like to first answer this question why I want to. Because once you know the purpose, you know the reason, there is no excuse in between your efforts and the preparation. So my motivation of being in this data is the bigger picture that I had. Okay, there are a lot of opportunity there. The world is getting data driven, and you'll have so much options further in cloud. And then maybe if sometime AI will be there, then you will get in AI, you can directly switch to AI. So the path was clear to me. This role has so much scope. And now coming to the preparation part, I started learning primary skills. First of all, I prioritize SQL, I prioritize Python, which is oops language. Like I started with Python only. I was terrible in Java. So Python was my niche, and then I started SQL, and then the last part is Cloud. Because cloud is something you can have it like basic understanding of the services that you can have. And there is a very good facility in companies that actually give you vouchers to learn and then you get certified. So at that time, TCS and my previous company also provided me external certification. I had that understanding, like starting with SQL. I gave basic SQL enough time to understand the fundamentals, and similarly for the Python as well. I did not go into depth about the Python because when I started this data engineer role, I had something similar to the mind, which is everyone like thinks कि इसमें तो कोडिंग कम लगेगा, ये रोल मुझे ज़्यादा बेटर है, मैं कोड ज़्यादा नहीं करूँगा. लाइक मोस्टली ये होता है कि आप अगर इंटरव्यू या रोल चूज करते हो, आप सोचते हो यार मुझे कोडिंग ना करना पड़े, एक्सटेंसिव कोडिंग आई डोंट लाइक इट, एल्गोरिदम, डीएसए, एवरीबडी फेयर अबाउट डीएसए, राइट? सो यहाँ पे क्या होता है, यहाँ पे मुझे भी सेम सेम पता था कि ठीक है यहाँ पे डीएसए नहीं करना पड़ेगा, कोडिंग कम है, तो दिस रोल इज परफेक्ट. आई इमेजिन दैट पॉइंट ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग. देन SQL पढ़ा, फिर Python पढ़ा, एंड देन इसके बाद when I completed my primary skills from different resources, I always actually use free resources most of the time. And then in the secondary skills, which is PySpark, I got to know like in the interview experiences that I used to watch through YouTube, or I used to read a lot of blogs from the LinkedIn, technical blogs or interview experiences that actually help me a passive study, that I call it. Even if you are not very actively, or you could not make time from a day, but you can do a passive study at least while scrolling. So I used to learn about the experiences. Okay, this is now it comes PySpark. I got to know, okay, PySpark is also a mandatory skills in that case. So I started with my learning from YouTube again. I preferred Manish Kumar. He's incredible person while teaching PySpark. And I learned PySpark thoroughly. And then once my primary skills and my secondary skills were sorted, now I need to learn something more about entirely how I connect all of these when I explain to someone. Like when I explain to in interview without having like all the exact experience, production ready experience to someone. So it comes, then I actually got enrolled in one course, data engineering. That was a 4 weeks of program. And there I had assignment, there we had projects, and we used to do it. It was quite very free. So I leveraged that part, and then I understood correctly, okay, these are the primary skills. Now I can I can use those skills. And after that, coming to the part of the very, toughest part is till L1 you can prepare by yourself. But till L2, you actually need real experience questions. So L2 round was a kind of not I had prepared like individually. I actually went through interviews by interviews, and then I prepared my answers thoroughly. And that's how it goes in the data engineer journey. Like Python was clear to me because I actually got the categorization of the particular topics. Like SQL must be very advanced. You should be known to SQL, very, very familiar. And then Python intermediate basis is fine. PySpark, again, it should be advanced. You should know the architecture. So I categorized those, skills in throughout my preparation, and it helped me to actually go in sequence by sequence. Because if you'll start learning PySpark first, you will get stuck because you don't know SQL, right? So I actually went through the preparation where sequence is very important, like SQL and then Python, and then I started learning PySpark. So that's how was my preparation all through. And the learning resources that I prefer, again, like all the free resources, I used to explore a lot. Like I'm a curious person. I used to explore a lot of resources from any other platform as well, not restricted to one like LinkedIn or some other website. You need to be very curious and to search it widely, because sometimes it's not important. Sometimes it seems like you're wasting your time, but you will get some, like if you're investing some your time truly, then you will get something out of it. I'm very sure.
So, like, there are so many courses, I would say, like, it is free, some are paid. So, how did you strategize to choose one which is preferable to use? As you said, like, you watched Manish Kumar as well, and there are some others maybe you have also watched. So, how did you recognize that this is better for me? to learning purpose?
Okay. So that first 2 weeks, at least first 2 weeks, I like search randomly, like thoroughly all the resources. When I was preparing, like doing a topic, suppose I'm preparing SQL and I went to a window function. I did not understand through the playlist that I am following, which is present online freely. So I again switch to the next YouTuber or next blog, technical blog, or I read through Google search, like for a SQL. I actually trusted for my entire resources. For SQL, I trusted W3 course for basic. And then for advanced, there is a person like Ankit Bansal and Sumit sir. So they release their SQL hard questions on YouTube frequently. I used to practice that a lot. So I did not get like randomly into some small website or I used to make a question repeatedly. Like if there is an advanced question of rolling or cumulative sum or windows, I used to do those particular type of question from the topic that is advanced from the YouTuber. And mostly there is a time like you get stuck into the understanding like why they are using. Sometimes you do not relate. So at that point of time, I actually switched to one course, Udemy course, where I mentioned where I got to know, okay, these are the topics, fundamental, or these topics lie in advanced. So there I took help from 2 3 channel for SQL at least. One is from the basic perspective. I started with W3, which is a website again, and then I took for advanced preparation. I took Ankit Bansal and then Sumit Mittal sir. They actually released many questions in advance, and then the PySpark was I just mentioned Manish Kumar, because I was able to relate the architecture. He was well enough to make us understand the production ready or troubleshooting steps that actually are that will get asked in L2 round. So I was able to relate it, because L1 you can prepare, but L2 you need real scenarios based question. So I preferred PySpark from Manish Kumar, and then the third part is Python. Python is like easily available everywhere, and it's not very tough to understand from other resources. You can just choose one, be consistent on that resource. Python is basically very easy, at least for me, and for I expect for other as well. If they start, it's a very easy enough to understand from any channel. So I just took any random one set of YouTube channel where I prefer Python from there, and I did not go elsewhere. So that was the preparation. I went from channel to channel, but first 2 weeks I did my research, like which one would be reliable for me. So this was the conclusion that I made.
Amazing, because you did your research and depending on that, it was great. Like you have learned so many things in a short period of time, and you were also working at that time, right?
Yes.
So, how did you manage? Like you have work pressure, then you sometimes also work on weekends. Then how did you manage that work and then your study and then again your life? You need some time also to relax. How did you
Yes.
manage that?
That time, you know what, like there is a motivation from my home as well. Like my siblings are into IT, and they're in a very good position. So I used to see them, okay, this is kind of a role that I appreciate, the work life balance that I appreciate. And that time, like I got to know कि पहले ना आपको हमेशा शुरुआत टफ टाइम लगेगा ही लगेगा. अगर आप कहीं से भी शुरू करो, कंफर्टेबली और अनकंफर्टेबली, यू नीड टू पुट योर ऑल हार्ट. एंड दैट आई वॉज वेरी श्योर कि मुझे हमेशा से शुरू में तो एफर्ट लगेगा. और इवन दो इट कम्स लाइक समटाइम आई यूज टू स्लिप लाइक 4 hours ओनली, बट आई हैड टू बी कमिटेड टू माई एफर्ट्स. लाइक वॉट आई हैड टू बी कमिटेड टू माई गोल कि मुझे ये चाहिए था एट दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. जस्ट गिव योर ऑल, and just don't wait for the like be a process oriented, don't be a result oriented. Otherwise you if you think about result every time, you'll get pressurized, you'll get burdened. Sometimes you'll not even have sleep. Like it's limited, but it all impacts your body. So I'm very process oriented. So I would recommend everybody to at least like invest so much in your process. It's okay, like sometime it happens. I don't go to weekend plan, and I had to compromise so many things at that time, but that was all worth enough. Like if you see the end point, you will see everything is worth. So that is the situation. I would say the work-life balance, like how I actually prepared you being in a billable project. So I used to complete my story and at a sufficient time, and I used to take extra time out of the office, like while eating or sometime before sleeping also. When I got like exhausted, I used to read a lot. And in between the work as well, I used to read a lot, like technical blogs or some experiences. Even though if I can watch parallelly YouTube videos while working, I used to read. And like while you are in a call, and if you think that that call is not actually related to you all enough, so you can side by side, read. So I used to make time in everything, and you have to manage the time. Like nobody is will going to direct you and will show you, so that you will teach you how to manage your time. It's only you how you can manage. It's all about your determination. Like if you want something, you need to put all your heart. So I did the same.
A few points which I really loved with this conversation right now that you just said is you have to be process oriented rather than result oriented. I would like the audience to make a note of this, which I really loved. And second is you have to put your whole heart to the process to achieve that goal. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that out. Now, if I talk about resume, right, you have to build a resume in order to apply for jobs, right? So what
Hmm.
things needs to be kept in mind in order to create that resume? You can say 2 or 3 points, whatever you feel like.
So honestly, like in my journey, one thing I realized very late is that your CV is not just a document. It's your first interview round. It seems like you just need to make some random CV, put some random skills, and it will get into the process. No, it doesn't happen like that. Like earlier, my CV looked like a task list. It had technologies everywhere, but like clarity was not enough. It's CV is all about the impact. It's all about how you show, how you deliver your work. Even though you are very well enough in the skills, but it's important how you deliver to someone else who doesn't know, who is not technical enough. So earlier, I used to write things like, worked on ETL pipelines, used Databricks, worked on Snowflake, created SQL, something. But later I realized recruiters actually and interviewers mainly want to understand two things very quickly. And this actually I learned by the process. What problems you solved and what impact your work actually created when you were into that particular role as a data engineer. So instead of only mentioning technologies, I started focusing on outcomes. For example, instead of writing just worked on ETL pipeline, I started writing optimizing pipeline execution time, latency, percentage wise, or maybe some, if you know the impact, like who is going to be the end user, so improve the report latency, something like that. It started showing the impact, what it actually having it. And I think that changed the entire preparation of my profile. Like initially my resume was not getting shortlisted most of the time, in fact in the big MNC as well. But I understood, I started learning through YouTube videos as well, that this is the kind of CV that we require. And but at that point of time as well, like I did not understand, even if I have also put down these ETL pipelines, snowflakes, why my CV is not getting shortlisted. But by the time I realized it's not about the skills, it's all about how you mentioning your impact. And another thing like I learned was keeping the CV very simple and readable. It's not very flashy thing. You should not be very, put some pictures and be very colorful. Just keep it simple. A lot of people do not try making very fancy and too much design graphics and all, links and all, especially in large companies. We thousands of CVs process, every day. And many times the initial screening is ATS based. So in that case, your CV must be passed to that at least 80 to 85%, especially in large companies. So readability and keyword relevance become very important at that point. That's why I like always suggest people who should pay attention on ATS score as well. So when I prepared my CV after that, like after 2 to 3 rejection, I got to know, okay, my CV doesn't even pass that particular score ATS. So I optimized my CV, and then I prepared well, and I checked from the website. There is a website which we can where we can share our resume, and then that particular word, resume worded, is the website where it shares the particular score as well as the suggestions where you can make it. So, but at the same time, like ATS optimization should not make the CV look artificial. At least you should be very like keep it clean, structured, and easy to scan. So one mistake like I noticed many people do is mixing skills with responsibility. For example, writing use Databricks notebook. And then inside responsibility, they just mentioned for me, Databricks self is a skill. What matters more is I want people to understand how did you use it? You know, what problem did you solve using it? What optimization or business value did it actually created when you use it? So I started separating skills and slightly customizing the CV depending on the role. And I always used to tweak the particular CV with the role that I'm applying for. It's not only that one CV I'm applying in for all the roles. Like another thing, if the role was more cloud focused, I highlighted AWS and the architecture related work that I learned. If it was heavy on big data processing and then PySpark optimization, partitioning, then I would like to mention all of this in this particular CV that should be visible. So I didn't completely rewrite the CV every time, but I made sure around 70 to 80% of the job description at least align with my with the job that I'm applying for. That looks naturally with your profile. So in fact, like one particular thing I used to do was collect multiple job description from companies like big companies like FANG and compare the common skills and expectations, and that actually helped me understand when what the market was actually looking at first thing. And honestly, like one very important lesson I learned here is don't mention every technology you touched once, because most of the time people do this mistake usually that they heard this particular skills. Okay, let's suppose AWS glue, and let's write it AWS glue, it is relevant. No, you should not do it, because anything written on the CV becomes fair game in the interviews clearly. So it's always better to show depth in fewer relevant skills rather than shallow exposure to everything, right? So for me, the biggest shift happened when my CV stopped looking like a technology checklist, but at least it started looking like a problem solving journey, the impact I'm sharing while working. So that's how I created my CV. Starting from the initial very basic and then got rejected, and then I analyzed it better. I watched different videos and blogs, and then I started relating that okay, this particular CV got shortlisted, then why it is. I used to learn that impact, and then I scrutinize everything. I customize my CV based upon that particular job role before applying, and yeah, then like everything went well after that when you understand the flow.
Thanks for sharing this. It was really extensive checklist that you had and you created, and that's how it got selected in top companies. So, if I talk about now the interview processes, so as you have worked with multiple companies, how many round is normally expected for this role?
Okay, so usually when you the almost all the companies will take at least 3 round, like least 3 round, I'm saying. But other like companies, if I would categorize the service-based company and the product-based company, in the service-based company you will always have 3 to 4 round at least, and in product-based, right, it could be more, like 4 to 5. So in my journey, I most of the it's not I initiated from the product based. I actually target. I did not set any expectation. Before getting into a particular role, I expected that there could be a more rounds. So L1, there is a L1 round which actually evaluate you on your fundamentals like PySpark and then Python. SQL and Python only. And the L2 round, it's mostly about the business scenarios, like how you deal with this particular situation, and that particular like more architectural problems that we used to discuss in L2 round. L3 round is in some company it's like managerial plus technical round, and some companies purely technical round, which actually evaluate your thinking approach about the problems, how you are thinking about the solution you're approaching to. For example, there could be many solution to one problem, but which way are you taking and why you are taking, the reasoning behind it. So it comes back to a critical thinking. So in L3 round, they actually evaluate you on your critical thinking. And sometime it happens that it could be a managerial round as well. So it comes down to your behavior questions. Like suppose if you have a conflict in a team, how did you resolve it? What was the scenario? So that time the star format always works, which is very famous. So this is L1, L2, L3. It usually happens, and this is how like they categorize the question. And but people should not forget that in L3 round, it's not important that you won't get question like SQL basic or Python question. You can get that question. It just you need to be aware that the question can be from anywhere. It's not only restricted to a critical thinking question or your behavior round. It can be anywhere, but mostly it happens that L1 is based upon your fundamentals, L2 is more about your architecture, and L3 is your critical approach to a solution. So that is the three least round that happens. And in other companies also sometimes like startups or mainly the product based company like Kellogg's, I actually got opportunity to interview with many good startups and the company product-based company. So there, Kellogg's and there are other companies. I actually had a list of like 11 companies which I got offers. At that time, yeah, that was quite big enough. Uh, this process, whole interview was very exhaustive, and then this categorizes L1, L2, L3 is the least that can happen at any interview, any company, irrespective of any company. But in the more startup or the I would say the product-based company, it actually grill you to the till the point that you actually that they can be sure that this particular candidate is going to join. You have to make them trustworthy कि ठीक है this particular candidate knows better technically, behavior sounds better, and the intention if they are going to join or not. So they it takes 5 to 6 round at least in the product based company to know the entire process, how is the candidate and if the candidate will fit into the team or not. So these are the rounds like usually happens.
Okay. So as you have cracked so many offers, 11 offers, it's not a small thing, it's a very big thing. So
Yeah.
what things that you kept in mind or you want to share it with audience that is like a standing out in an interview so that you are better than the other candidates?
Okay. First of all, it started again with the CV part. You need to be, very simple CV, readable enough and relevant, like as I mentioned, impact enough, so that your at least CV can go through the desk of maybe interviewers or maybe recruiters who is screening that. So this particular CV part is the first part. Second thing is I like by interviews, I went through, if I share the exact number, I went through around 60 interviews. 60, and it all includes L1, L2, L3 from other companies. So I went through 60 to 65 interviews, and the process was after each interview, it got clear that okay, this is something I was doing wrong. When I got rejected, I also got rejected from few significant number of companies, and then I got to know by the process itself okay, this is the mistake I was doing. I always I always used to do analysis after the interview so that I got to know my mistakes, even if the result was different, even the result was unexpected, and even if the result was good. But you need to analyze your interview process so enough that you learn new thing and as well as fill the gap that you have actually left in your previous interview. So interview by interview, it went like into the process. I got to know, okay, this is the gap. This was the unexpected thing that I did. I need to more focus on the architecture level, or maybe I need to more work upon the advanced SQL window function. Maybe the question could be like this. And sometimes it happens like people usually do, they cram some questions. So memorizing the questions will not gonna help for long enough. Like to be honest, I used to be that person, but by the process only I got to know this is not going to help me anymore. If I want to crack it something better, because sometimes it happens, मैं L1 क्रैक कर लेती थी, L2 रह जाता था. L1 L2 हो गया तो L3 रह जाता था, and it all went due to my lack of preparation at that time. So from each interview I learned कि काम ऐसे तो नहीं होगा, आपको करना ही पड़ेगा overall. Even if you don't know some coding question, you need to be well enough to understand the basic algorithm, at least like array strings, do some two pointer questions, so that at least it will be well enough कि आप एटलीस्ट बोल पाओ रिलेटेबल. आप सब कुछ मेमोराइज नहीं कर सकते, आपको कुछ तो समझना पड़ेगा बोलने के लिए भी. तो फिर ये एक्चुअली बाय द प्रोसेस आई अंडरस्टूड, आई एक्चुअली वर्कड ऑन दिस गैप्स, and by the time it went well with each interview.
Yeah, that's very true because people also start memorizing, which is a very good thing that you shared. So I would also advise not to memorize, but to understand in the process. And interviews are the best learning. If it's a failure, it's the best learning for you so that you can get up and again do better in the
Right.
next time.
Theoretically it can help, sometime it can help, but for the long run you will get stuck for sure.
Okay, okay. So, as you are now placed in a company, right? So, how is the work life in the current organization that you are in?
Oh, that I would love to answer a lot. Like EPAM is a kind of company. I won't say like the only company which I look for, but it's the best out of all the offers that I had. Financially, as well as work culture, as well as the project, as well as the engineering part that I was looking for. It had everything, like everything. So EPAM culture wise, it's very good. Like work culture, it promotes remote work culture so that you can, it helps for work from home or work life balance as well. Second part is it's engineering focus. Like EPAM is a too much engineering focus. There are a lot of projects that is engineering based. It's totally, some companies are FMCG companies, some like consulting companies like Deloitte and other companies. I was looking for some that particular company which is actually technically oriented, only the engineering part. Just for example, let's suppose Meta, and let's suppose other companies like Google. So these are technical companies. It's not like FMCG or other domain. It's a IT, proper IT domain. So I was looking that particular company, and EPAM have all of that. Like it's engineering focused. And the next part which I loved is about the innovation, that there actually progress for these AI and or any new technology that comes, and by the time they actually push you to learn better, not only restricted to the project, it also there is a practice side that you can learn more and do your personal side project and showcase to EPAM. So there's something very interesting that I found in EPAM. It's not only the project like project inclined particular company, but it's a personal growth. Like it give you a chance to work on yourself, on your skills as well. They pushes you further in the AI skills, or maybe Gen AI, whatever new technologies come, and they always pushes to encourage you to please work upon yourself as well alongside the project, because eventually it will help them as well, so that you can get better projects, you can get good deal for them as well. So these are the things that I like more about EPAM. And again, the compensation part is the most important. So all of these happens in EPAM is very good enough. Like technically, and they support personally as well. Like they support remote culture. So everything was very good in EPAM.
Great, great. So, as you have pired this topic of compensation, I would like to know that what a person can expect for a fresher, like from 1 to 4 years, what could be a salary range that a person can expect, and from 4 to maybe years of 7 years, what can a person expect?
Okay. First of all, if you are a beginner, like you are not into a data engineer, you are aspiring to become a data engineer, you should not set a particular expectation more than your previous CTC. First thing is that. Second thing, like once you'll get into a data engineer, like first thing is always clear, you need to get into a data engineer, and the compensation should not be like low enough to your CTC. It should be always higher, like 30-40% you can expect according to the market value and according to your experience as well. But when you cross that particular experience line, like 3 to 4 years, and you are into a data engineer field, then you should be, you can expect around like 40% or based upon your previous CTC, your experience, and how much skills you are putting into their table, you can actually negotiate that particular part by taking another offer as well. So for 3 to 4 years, I would say that in between 15 to 20 or 20 to 25 is well enough. If you are actually working as a data engineer, you are just want to switch to hop to another offer. And if you are having like more experience, more than 5 years, I would say the limit is not till this offer, till the CTC. It can go further. It's based upon, experience, the impact, the business, the role, and the timing matters a lot here. Like it's not only that if you are something having a 30 LPN, you can expect 30 to 40% as per the standard market. But how can you negotiate in that case? So you need to have an offer, and for that offer, you need to have the skills for a different offer, because sometimes, question comes to you that why do you want a different offer if you already have it? So you need to show why. I mean, you need to convince them. So basically, it's the negotiation part that comes after the 3 to 4 years for the people having 5+ year of experience. That matters a lot. Like how you are showing them and how you could be useful for them.
Right.
So that is very important. Negotiation part and the timing is very important.
That's so true, so true. And now, if you have to give some advice who have already started the journey of data
Hmm.
engineering, how to actually upskill and how to grow in their career, what
Hmm.
the best advice you would like to give?
Okay, my perspective is who wants to become a data engineer. First, do not go run behind the salary part. Do not run behind the compensation. It's never gonna help. You will eventually get a lot once you'll have the skills. So first, put your all heart into your preparation, into your skills, primary skills, secondary skills, cloud-based. That is the three skills that you must have it. And after that, once you well enough that I am done with my preparation, I think I can appear for the interview at least for L1 round. Then prepare your CV well enough and impactful, so that it gets shortlisted. Once it's shortlisted, appear for the L1 round, appear and analyze it better, because it's not going to happen that you will appear and then okay, you get passed, you get selected. It's not going to happen most of the time. It always comes, like success always comes with rejection first. So just analyze each and every steps, where you failed, where was the gap. And because sitting with yourself and analyzing those things help you to understand and to prepare well enough for the next round. So once you're done with these interview phase, and the third part is comes with the negotiation part. Now you are well enough that you cracked 2 to 3 offers. Now it depends how you negotiate for better, because every company will offer you based upon your previous salary, and the expected market rate is 30 to 40% based upon your previous salary. So how you will jump to a further? So at that point of time, I would suggest take offers first. Second is, uh, when they ask like why do you want to join another, or why do you want another offer, just make sure that you actually put down those points what they want. For example, they want Scala people who want to learn Scala, who want to be very efficient in some PySpark or Databricks. Just show them the interest and the trust that this particular previous offer that I have is not actually in line with my role. Just say them, and then in line with the particular interest that you have, which you offering is actually excites me, and I want to join this and at this particular level of offer. If you can match, just see if you can match that particular offer. So negotiate that part, and at that point, you know, I would like to share one small journey, like in the negotiation part. Earlier, I used to very uncomfortable negotiating salary. Like many people, I also used to think like if I negotiate too much, maybe the offer will get affected or they lose interest, maybe. But gradually, I understand, realize salary negotiation, it's not about like, it's not a fight. It's a professional discussion. And one important thing I learned is timing matters a lot, like which I mentioned. Many people make the mistake, on negotiating aggressively right after the HR call, which is not going to happen. Like, for example, as soon as the recruiter approaches you, ask you what is your salary expectation. So people, immediately throw very big numbers. But personally, I always felt it's better not to make them conversation hard too early, because at that stage the company still doesn't fully know your value, right? And you don't always fully know the role depth, expectation, interview process. So my approach was usually very polite and practical. Like I would say something like, I'm expecting maybe compensation align with industry standards and role expectation. Let's go through the interview process first, and if things align from both the side, we can discuss numbers further. So this is the first thing that I used to do, and that keeps conversation professional and open. Okay, there is a chance to negotiate at least. So because honestly, recruiters and HRs works within the budget, salary budget, and internal structure and all, so negotiating should not feel like a pressure for them from either side, because I think the real negotiation strength comes after you perform well in the interviews. So once you clear multiple rounds and the company actually sees the potential in you, right, as a strong candidate, your position automatically becomes stronger. At that point, like both sides have already invested time. The company doesn't want to, restart the entire hiring process again. And obviously, like as a candidate, you also want to transition to make sense professionally and financially. So that's where the discussion becomes more balanced. Another thing like I learned was, don't negotiate emotionally, like negotiate based upon your value and practically. So for example, again, like instead of randomly asking for huge numbers, I started understanding market value first, my experience level, since I was very curious to do R&D first before going to any process. So my role expectation, and one important, the actual in hand difference, what it is coming. So because sometimes people only focus on total CTC numbers without understanding that tax impact, variable pay, joining bonus, for example, an actual home improvement. So I started evaluating offers more practically, and I felt that offered compensation was lower than expected. I would explain them, like my reasoning politely. For example, based upon my experience, skill set, market, I was expecting something closer to a particular range. For suppose XY range, you must have made in your mind. So I notice HR conversation becomes much smoother when communicate logically instead of emotionally just acting things. And honestly, confidence, like Candice, also matters. And at one point in my career, I was able to move from around X to nearly 10x LPA, and that phase taught me like something very important is, sometimes like the market values your skills. It's more than yourself too, but for that you need preparation, how you can negotiate, position yourself to that particular company, and confidence backed by actual capability. So my overall approach were always like pretty simple: stay professional, don't rush, negotiate too early, and understand your market value. Make it a win-win discussion for both the side. Don't make it hard at very first time. So that was the process I learned from at least one to two company while negotiating salary, and after watching through experiences from the YouTube as well. So yeah, that helped me the process a lot, like negotiating offers by offers and then jump to 10x, 11x, whatever you want.
Okay. That was a nice way actually to do it, and thanks for sharing. That was a very good insight how to actually negotiate, because people think कि यार सैलरी कैसे ज्यादा मांग मांग सकते हैं, इतना ही मांगेंगे.
People always get comfortable initially कि यार I think मेरी वैल्यू इतनी है, शायद इसलिए वो मुझे इतना ऑफर कर रहे हैं, but it's not something like that. You need to negotiate it better, because there is always a chance. If you won't ask it, you will never getting it.
True.
So there will be always no, but you need to first ask at least.
Okay.
So this is important.
That's great. So thank you so much, Ritu. It was a really, really great conversation, starting from your journey and your interview process. And again, last is the salary for which you are also working, right? So thank you so much. Anything else you want to share? Any last comment maybe you want to give it to audience?
Yes, the first point is before jumping to anything, just make sure I'm talking about universally. Just jumping to any new experience, always expect the unexpected part and accept that particular part, work on it, and then you will thrive for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ritu. It was a really great session. I hope audience would have gone a lot of insights from this session and they will take back. And I hope you have also taken the pointers from this session, noted down so that it will really help you in your career journey, not only in the interview process or anything, but the whole career journey. This is a really great session that I find it, and I hope you would have liked it. And please do like and share and subscribe to my channel as well. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Ritu, for the session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you have a good day.